right next to Knight. She was born nearly 250 years ago, and she became infamous for stealing a horse and taking just 9 hours to ride it to London.
But there was much more to the Suffolk legend of Margaret Catchpole than that. And the students at Orwell Park School near Ipswich have been recreating her most daring moments, as Ellie Price found out.
If you're from this neck of the woods, you've probably heard of Margaret Catchpole. Her name appears on road signs and even pubs, but you may not have heard her incredible story. Margaret Catchpole was born in Suffolk in 1762. She worked as a servant for the Cobbold family in Nacton for much of her early life, and became something of a hero after saving one of the children from drowning. But Margaret Catchpole was no angel. Legend has it she fell in love with a smuggler, Will Lord, though fate kept them apart. But when she was told he was in London for a short time, she stole a horse from her employers, and life would never be the same. It took her just 9 hours to gallop from Ipswich to London, a ride some say would make Dick Turpin proud. But her attempts were doomed. She was arrested when she arrived in London and sentenced to death. But that wasn't the end of Margaret Catchpole. And the walls of Ipswich jail weren't enough to stand between her and her true love. And on March the 25th, 1800, she escaped. The lovers met on Orwell foreshore to elope together for a better life. But there was to be no happily ever after.
Margaret Catchpole, stop in the name of the king! I will, save me! You'll never get us alive!
But they did get Margaret Catchpole alive. She was transported to Australia, never to see her Suffolk home again. But that wasn't the end of her story. During her time with the Cobbold family, she'd learnt to read and write. By the time she died around 1819, she'd written a number of letters, which have become some of the earliest eyewitness accounts of life in Australia. Of course, 2 centuries on, there's debate about exact details in her life, but for the actors reliving her most famous moments, it's all about the story.
Inspirational woman, that's her. She really brought that to life and told us all about what she could do and what a woman could do and get away with. It felt good. It sort of brought the history class outside and sort of it's an acting thing. It was fun, yeah. Enjoyed it. Reenacting it makes it much more interesting and makes it more realistic so you can understand it a bit better.
The pupils at our school have a wonderful environment in which to learn, and I think it's also really important they have an understanding of the history that's on their doorstep. We've got 110 acres here, and it's a wonderful place in which to learn outside the classroom.
More than 200 years later, Margaret Catchpole's story is still being told over in Australia and right here in Suffolk. It's a tale that started in daring defiance and ended with her being a respected member of the community. But most of all, it's a story of love. Ellie Price, Anglia News.
I'm not sure they wanted to do that, kids.
They were told by Ellie, weren't they?
I've never heard of Margaret Catchpole before today.
Well, no, we haven't. We had complete some of that as well.
Yeah, very dramatic.
Just like the last scene of Downton Abbey, wasn't it? But almost as many twists and turns, perhaps.
How are we going to cope on a Sunday night?
We'll soon find out. Right, just a quick word now about a very special project right here on ITV this Christmas. There it is.
Yeah, we need your help, and it's all free.